I ended up finishing Ender's Game. I'm going to play a
book.
little bit of this.
Doing an amateur reading of this book. It's going to probably be pretty cringeworthy in places. I'm not very good at doing voices. I don't even know if I should do voices. I'm just going to try my best, and hopefully it'll improve as I go along.
Intro aside, he did a pretty good job. I really enjoyed it. I did play it a little bit faster than normal speech, so he sounded very slow for me right now because I got so used to listening it at higher speeds. But he did a pretty good job. I did sometimes have to slow it down because I wanted to get some of the details of the story that I was absorbing. Just at the beginning, especially, I go a little slower because I need to remember the names. I need to understand the concepts going on, and then I start speeding it up slowly. And by the time I get to halfway through an audiobook like this, I crank it up because I got hyper focused. So it's actually relatively easy for me to just like sit still and just hear the words, and the images start flashing in my mind at the speed of which I hear. Very convenient for trying to get through books fast. In any case, I'll play you a bit of a sample of his opening here.
I've watched through his eyes. I've listened through his ears. And I tell you, he's the one. Or at least as close as we're gonna get. That's what you said about the brother. The brother tested out impossible, for other reasons. Nothing to do with his ability. Same with his sister, and there are doubts about him. He's too malleable, too willing to submerge himself in someone else's will. Not if the other person is his enemy. So what do? Surround him with enemies all the time? If we have to. I thought you said you like this kid. If the buggers get him, they'll make me look like his favorite uncle. Alright, we're saving the world after all.
Damn.
Take him.
Damn. That's so, I mean, crazy because I just finished this last night, but re-listening to just that beginning, just that stinger, that opening, holy crap. Crazy how much of the story expands on just that opener. But when I got to the last two chapters in particular, I'm not going to spoil anything. For those of you who have not read this book, I highly recommend it. It's actually really good. And I enjoyed this reading of it. So if you want to hear an audiobook that's free, check him out. I think this was a really good job, all considering his perspective of being doing an amateur read here. I think it was really well done. I didn't stumble on any part of it. I didn't get confused at any part of it. He did a good job. He did a good job. Anyways, back to the last two chapters, though. I was in my hyper-focus state because at that point I was probably in the 3.5 to 4 times speed and just kind of sitting here and like just eyes closed, absorbing it. And of course, I'm going through the patterns of like, I'm not going to really spoil here, but they put the kids through a lot of like VR kind of simulated combat scenarios. And that's through the entire training program that they put these kids through. And so we're following our character, of course, Ender, going through these simulations. And so like I'm used to kind of the idea of the simulation. And so I'm hearing these words and I'm concentrating hard on like the simulation of the battles. And again, no spoilers. The second last chapter in particular, there's a moment where I went from like perfectly still, like hyper concentration to just going, and then I had to stop it, and I'm like, what? And then I had to slow everything down, do that again, say that again, and then the last chapter was another one of those. I had a couple of those like GIF animated takes where you're just like like those kinds of things, or there's so many moments like that where I was just like, I felt like it had to go somewhere, but I didn't expect it to unfold the way it did, is how I would put it. I don't want to say it was slow because there was a lot of action going through like the second chunk, so the phase 2 and phase 3, or act 2A, act 2B. There's a lot of just kind of, it was repetitious in the sense of chapter would start, he's in training, he's probably around a bunch of new people. This opening statement sort of just kind of reminded me, like the premise was solid. It's that surround him with enemies. I was like, yeah, that's literally the premise for the entire book. It's like, and that's how they train him to become who he becomes. And again, leaving that open. But that pattern became so repetitious because it happened every chapter, or he meets someone and that person might be the mentor, might be the person that maybe just becomes the disruptor inside that repetitious pattern that they're intentionally putting him in as he kind of ages. This is a 6-year-old kid, man, that I think he's 11 by the time like you get to the end of the book. He's gone through a couple of years of this, 5 years of this, but it's a fascinating pattern that pays off because again, this is weird because I'm speaking, I'm putting these pieces together. It's even symbolically, it's like the simulation of it is like the novel almost becomes you in a simulation. Like, it's weird. I don't even know how to express what I was what I was thinking, but I don't have the words to express it because I just thought it. But it's like so systematic that's why the ending got to me. The way the twist, the thing that then twist, not a twist. I can't explain it without spoiling it. But whatever happens, you're like, it couldn't. Anyways, I don't want to go into it. I don't want to spoil it. I recommend it. And if you made sense of anything I just said for the last bantering I just went through, good for you. I congratulate you. I'll leave it there.